I was folding laundry when my husband, Daniel, came through the door with a look I hadn't seen on his face in years. Something was wrong. His tie was slightly loosened, his brow furrowed, and his eyes weren't meeting mine. I asked him if everything was okay, and he muttered a quick, "Yeah, just tired," before disappearing into the bedroom. That wasn't like him. Normally he'd kiss me, tell me about his day, or joke about the ridiculousness of office politics. But that night, there was silence. Daniel worked at a tech consulting firm downtown, the kind of job that had him tied to his phone even during dinner. His boss, Mr. Everett Collins, was a man I'd only heard about in stories. Strict, demanding, the kind of guy who could make or break your career with a sentence. Daniel had been trying to get a promotion for months. He'd been working late, picking up extra projects, even sacrificing weekends to stay ahead. We were both hopeful something good was coming. But the moment he came home like that, I knew something had shifted. The next morning, Daniel left earlier than usual. I found his untouched coffee sitting on the kitchen counter. Around noon, I got a call from him. His voice was lower than usual, his words chosen carefully. "Claire," he said, "Mr. Collins asked if you could drop off the signed apartment lease forms to his office. He said it's urgent." That struck me as odd. Daniel usually handled everything office-related himself. "Why me?" I asked. He hesitated. "He said he needed it directly from you." "I don't know. Just, please if you can." Curious and concerned, I agreed. I got dressed, printed the documents, and drove downtown. Collins Consulting occupied the 19th floor of a sleek glass building. I'd never been there before. The receptionist, a young man named Todd, greeted me with a surprised smile when I said I was Claire, Daniel's wife. "Mr. Collins is expecting you," he said, gesturing toward a hallway. "His office is the last one at the end." I walked slowly, my heels echoing down the quiet corridor. I knocked twice on the heavy wooden door before hearing a deep, controlled voice say, "Come in." Mr. Collins was tall, maybe mid-50s, with a silver-streaked beard and sharp, calculating eyes. He stood behind a large desk with floor-to-ceiling windows behind him. "Mrs. Brooks," he said, smiling slightly. "Thank you for coming." I handed him the documents. He took them but didn't glance down. Instead, he looked at me, really looked. It wasn't creepy. It was more like he was studying me, trying to decide what to say next. He gestured for me to sit. I hesitated, then did. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "Claire, I'm going to speak to you not just as Daniel's boss, but as someone who sees potential in both of you." I blinked. "I'm sorry." He smiled. "Daniel's a smart guy. He's loyal, hardworking, and talented. But sometimes, loyalty clouds judgment. Sometimes, people don't ask for what they deserve. They wait. And waiting can cost you everything." I didn't understand where he was going with this, and it must have shown on my face. He leaned back slightly. "Did Daniel tell you he declined a promotion 2 weeks ago?" I felt my stomach drop. "What? No. He never said anything about that." Mr. Collins nodded. "I offered him a senior consulting role. A big one. He would have managed a team, traveled internationally, gotten a significant pay bump. But he turned it down. Said he wanted to be home more. Said he didn't want to put pressure on his marriage." I sat frozen. Daniel had wanted this job for so long. Why wouldn't he tell me? Why would he give that up? Mr. Collins continued, "That decision hurt his standing here. Not because I'm punishing him, but because it told me he lacks vision. But I don't believe that's true. I believe he's afraid. Afraid of what ambition might do to his personal life. So I'm telling you this because you deserve to know what's on the line. And because I think you might be the key to getting him back on track." I left the office in a daze. My thoughts raced as I drove home. Daniel had never mentioned the offer. Never said a word. That night, I didn't wait. I asked him point blank, "Did you turn down a promotion?" He looked caught off guard, then sat down on the edge of the bed, rubbing his hands together. I was going to tell you. I thought we'd talked about wanting more time together. I didn't want to be gone all the time, flying to other cities, missing dinners and weekends. But you've wanted this for years, I said softly. I know, he replied, staring at the floor. But what's the point of success if I lose us? My heart broke and swelled at the same time. I loved him for that. Truly. But I also knew he was selling himself short. And us too. The next few days were quiet, filled with long talks, late-night coffee, and hard truths. I told him what Mr. Collins had said. I told him how it felt to be kept in the dark. And he told me his fears, of becoming the kind of man who forgets his wife's birthday because of a board meeting. Of burning out. Of losing the quiet magic we had. But I reminded him that ambition didn't have to destroy love. That with communication, boundaries, and support, we could have both. That he could have both. A week later, Daniel requested a second meeting with Mr. Collins. This time, he didn't go in unsure or apologetic. He told him he'd made a mistake. That he wanted the position, on his terms. He'd give it everything, but he needed some flexibility. Collins respected that. And just like that, everything began to change. The job came with challenges. Longer hours, yes, and a few business trips, but also pride, excitement, and financial stability. I saw Daniel glow again, passionate about his work, confident in his choices. And our relationship didn't crumble. It strengthened. We planned date nights, took spontaneous road trips, laughed through late-night calls when he was away, and even started talking about growing our family. One evening, a few months later, Collins invited us both to a formal dinner hosted by the firm. It was at a rooftop restaurant, all glass and candles and jazz. At the end of the night, as I thanked him for the evening, Mr. Collins said something that stayed with me. Claire, sometimes the most powerful conversations happen behind closed doors. But the strongest relationships are the ones where you open them, together. What he said behind those doors changed everything. Not because of the words themselves, but because they forced a truth into the open. One we had to face. One we had to grow through. Now, every time Daniel comes home late but smiling, I remember how close we came to letting fear decide for us. And I'm grateful we chose differently. Because behind that door, something more than a career was on the line. It was our future. And we fought for it.